And I know that when I've gone onto social media, most people are really excited to do this for themselves. So this is totally possible for you to do that. It's obviously when we get into the vitamins and start talking about things like that, you're just going to have to adjust it to your weight and age. But the second thing that I wanted to talk about is that if you are going to be using this for yourself instead of your child or your student, there is an adage that says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And you have seen from all the research that I've been putting out there on the social media accounts or the private Facebook group, that most of your brain, 90% of your brain, has been developed by the age of 5. And so what we're doing, and 80% by the age of 3. So this is why I choose children as the focus audience, because the results are way more pertinent and faster. That being said, I don't want this to be a detraction from you looking after your beautiful brain, because we realize that that really is what guides our health. So how are we going to go about this? This is going to probably be more like a 60-day challenge because of what needs to be covered. What am I going to be talking about? I'm going to be dividing it into sections. So I know I often call you brain hackers, but neurohackers is actually way more on target. I say that because there are neurons in the 3 brains. So you have your brain, you have your heart, and you have your gut. And those have been related, that people call them brains for that reason. So we will be going into all 3 sections, the brain, the heart, and the gut. And the 4th will be your environment. The reason I'm doing this, I mentioned it to you yesterday, is because in order for us to start delving into the photographic memory course, the speed reading course, and the quantum math course, we need to have our neurons firing and wiring at the best possible rate. And the only way to do that really is to detox all 3. So I thought this would be a beautiful prequel to any of the courses you decide to do through Build Your Brain. Today, I just wanted to give a general overview of where we're going. And I thought what would be really interesting for you to know is the science behind why I want to do that. I've mentioned that there are no books out there that are doing this or written about this, and particularly because the research for children is really limited. So what you're going to find, as my disclaimer, is that we're going to be using the current neuroscience, but obviously this is an evolving market. And so if there are new research articles that come out, I will be adding those and making you aware of it. But for now, we're going to dive in, and I'll tell you why I wanted to do the 3 brains. It's really important in photographic memory to realize that we are molding those neural pathways, and how we're doing that is getting those synapses to fire through the dendrites to create an actual pathway, and then reiterating that pathway to make sure that it almost, if you repeat it often enough, they say 22,000 times for a thought to become a habit. And so when you do it that way, you think about how easy it is when you go driving. You don't even think about turning the key on in the ignition, but yet when you first started driving, everything had to be a thought process. And so that's where I want to get our brains to in a sense that will make your brain easier for me to teach and more malleable for you to receive the information. So the 3 brains, our brain, our gut brain, and our heart brain. It's really interesting to know that our gut brain has 100 million neurons. Our brain has 86 million neurons. And then our heart has 46,000 neurons. Now, those 3 are constantly communicating via the vagus nerve. And what's so interesting, when you say that the brain has 86 billion, you're expecting that the brain is doing most of the communicating to the other parts of the body. But in actual fact, 80% of the communication going on is between the gut and the heart to the brain. So that is why it is actually so important to get all three functioning coherently. I also love to say, if you go back into how you were created in the womb, the first muscle that starts firing is the heart. And that's where the original neurons of your life began. And from then it splits up into the brain and then to the gut. So if you think about it that way, you'll understand why I say build your brain is a holistic approach to photographic memory, speed reading, and quantum math. This is really, that's why the word prequel cannot be underestimated, because we really have to start from day one, clearing out, detoxing anything that needs to be detoxed, getting rid of any toxins, so that our hardware system is ready to receive the data dumps that we're going to be doing. If you haven't seen any of the social media accounts, or you haven't gotten my ebook through the private Facebook group, you will realize that honestly, you only need about 7.5 minutes to dump at least 1 million bits of information into your brain. So that being said, we have now spoken about the three brains, but there is going to be a fourth component, and that is your environment. These days, in our crazy world that we're living in, there are a lot of toxins out there that are also affecting our brain mechanics. And so that'll be the fourth part of this 60-day challenge. We will be talking about everything from EMFs to the toxins in your household, to clothing, any kind of frequency that is going to be interrupting your alpha brainwave frequency that we are working so hard to get you into. So I hope this gives you a beautiful overview of where we're going. And I would love to encourage the parents or teachers to jump in on this with your children. And within 60 days, you are going to have a totally different brain. In one of my books, I talk about Dr. McCullough and Dr. Amen. And Dr. Amen, that's all his clinic does, is do brain scans. So if any of you are fortunate enough to do a before and after brain scan, I would love to have you as part of that research to see how this would actually affect your neurological network within 60 days. And we really are talking, minutes a day. We're not talking anything major. But as I say in all my courses, this is actually a lifestyle change. So I want to commend each and every one of you watching. I want to commend you on taking the time to listen, and then the time to do. Today, there's actually nothing to do other than be, enjoy the being. And day by day, we will just start marking things off our list to make us a true neurohacker. So in other words, not just the brain hacking that I've been speaking about, but now neurohacking, the three brains: gut, heart, and mind, as well as our environment. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.